Can you guys talk about how your customer service or tech support people are using Preseam kind of for customer-facing information?
That's probably on
Sure.
your list, right?
It's actually, I have very few Preseam questions here, but go ahead.
We've basically, not forced, but we've recommended to our customer support people that this information that is in Preseam is valuable, and this is how you can figure out what may be going on with the customer. So I think for us not to use it we'd be fools, right? So that information where they can say, well, the sector looks good, the tower looks good, but you look bad for whatever reason, helps them to know that, well, that must be a router issue, a Wi-Fi issue inside the home, whatever the case may be. And so we rely on it really heavily. I tell people all the time that I think Preseam's worth the money, even if all you used it for was a monitoring. Now, I didn't believe that before I was a customer, but now that I've seen it and I can do shaping and I can get all those metrics out of it, it's worth every penny of it. So we rely on it really heavily. I, in fact, have to go back to my guys every now and then and be like, well, what does Preseam say? What does Preseam say? Because we're kind of getting the rut of, well, it looks good in power code, or doesn't look like they're using it that much, or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, well, what does Preseam say? And so we've got to the point where it's become critical to how we support our customers because it gives us the information that we need. The data is there.
I would agree with that. And on top of that, I trust the data. And there's other applications that don't have the granularity that you get out of Preseam, where it's maybe a little harder to troubleshoot, or it requires a higher level of technical expertise to get it there. Whereas your level 1 guys can pretty quickly know whether they should escalate an issue. So if the tower looks good, the AP looks good, the customer looks terrible, don't call me. Check the signal next. If the signal's bad, roll a truck. Don't bother me. I've got other things to work on. Exactly. And if they immediately see, oh, gee whiz, this AP is a mess, or the tower's a mess, don't roll a truck, because that guy isn't going to fix this. Let's save the windshield time, and let's save the fuel cost and the frustration of the customer. So prior to Preseam, we would have that as a somewhat common problem, where it's like, well, we looked, the user's not using anything. Well, they couldn't, because 3 backhauls up, we had a problem, and there should have been 500 people calling. They were busy with their kids' sports that week, or whatever the problem was, and Smoke Ping or Libra or whatever we were monitoring with, didn't fire the triggers the right way. So it's been a tool to get more technical prowess at low levels of the company. And Preseam is one of those products that you don't want to oversell it, right? So I want to tell everybody this is the greatest thing ever, and it has the best support team I've ever seen, but it is. So, you're welcome, I expect that.
So the guy that asked the question here, this is Corey. We're direct competitors. He overlaps our entire coverage area, so I would be smart to say that Preseam sucks and you should not use it. Okay?
You've been telling me that for years.
Yes. But, I'm a nice...
Track my statement.
Yeah, I'm a nice guy, so I'm not going to lie. Preseam's one of the best decisions we ever made, and we will take less of your customers if you deploy Preseam. It'll just be that simple. So I'm shooting myself in the foot, guys. For us, though, when we first started using Preseam, I felt like what they were pushing was just shaping. Like in the sessions, like that seemed like that was their number one feature, is we just rate plan, or shape all your rate plans, and then when customers max it out, it's smooth and it works great. But for me, the number one was still the QoE data, telling me which access points had problems, which customers are struggling, and the shaping was an added benefit, number 2 feature for me. After almost 2 years of using it now, though, both of them work really well. We love both features, and we probably wouldn't want to give up either one of them.
Please tell me if I'm dominating the conversation too much, and I'll shut up. A very specific problem that we solved within the first week or 2 of having Preseam. We'd had some customers call in and complain from one tower site. We reference Smoke Ping, Libra, CN Maestro, Air Control, whatever tools we had. Gee whiz, these customers, they just have to be crazy. It's got to be a router issue. We didn't have managed routers at the time, and it's totally got to be either in their head or their devices. And what it turned out to be was our monitoring platform sat, here in our network. We have multiple layers of redundancy at every step, and so in our core, there's probably no less than a dozen ways to get to the customers at this tower. All of our monitoring was taking this route, and the customer data was actually load balancing across that route and then across this other route. And we had Ethernet errors on one backhaul that had very little traffic on it, but it was enough to cause them intermittent service degradation. And so we found that because of increased retries, packet loss, those sort of things, that Preseam gave us that data. They didn't necessarily solve the problem, but they made us believe that it was our problem to solve.
I would agree with that 100%. Where there's these random issues, right? Customer complaints, and we'd look in CN Maestro, or back when we had more ubiquity in air control, and everything looked great. So then you have to, just tell the customer you're full of it, right? What else do you do? You can't find, if you don't have anything verifying what the customer is telling you is true, you have a hard time believing them, because typically they exaggerate a lot. So Preseam for us has given us the ability to say, when a customer calls in, they say, I'm having a poor experience. That's the first thing we click is into Preseam and search that customer. And we can tell them within 30 seconds, a tier 1 rep can say, yes, I see you are having a poor experience. Let us look into that. And it gives us that quick first 30-second view of that customer's experience. So quality, or QoE is quality of experience, right? So this is not a network monitoring tool. It's becoming more of one. They're pulling in a lot of SNMP data now from the access points that are kind of making it like a Libre NMS in a way. But before they did all that, it was really just giving us the green, yes, customer is good, or yellow or red, customer is actually having a poor experience. And then right next to that shows the sector view and then the tower view. So we look at the subscriber. If they're red latency and the sector is entirely green, then we're like, okay, it's this one customer. Now we have a Wi-Fi issue we need to worry about, or a signal issue, something like that. So for us, it's more than just using Maestro and looking at signal levels, MCS rates. It takes a step beyond that and actually shows you, is the customer having a good service or not? And then for me, for the shaping side of things, the tried and true thing that sold me on this right away when we had it, I put my house at the time had our service, our fixed wireless service on EPMP. We were shaping with MikroTik queues before that, and just one day, all of a sudden, it just acted up. All our latency spiked and everything to 300-400 milliseconds, and I couldn't figure it out. Luckily, it coincided right away with us rolling out the Preseam demo. And after we had that going, I throttled my house down to 3x1, so 3 megabit per second download, 1 meg up. On an idle connection, I was pinging Chicago, about 30 milliseconds, and that was unloaded, so no traffic. I then ran 3 YouTube videos, a Netflix, a file download, a voice over IP call, web browsing, and an Xbox Live gaming session on 3 meg. The latency only went up about 8 milliseconds, so from 30 to 38. I had no lag on the game or the voice over IP call, no buffering on any of the videos, and my web browsing was still fast. That test right there alone proved that the FQ coddle that Preseam is using to shape rate plans, that worked really, really well. Even down to 3 meg, our customers just stopped having issues.
Hey Darin, are you seeing that? So, that's kind of what sold me on it. So on the rate limiting, using the simple queues, which most of us probably been using, customer is doing an Xbox download or some Microsoft update, and you try to tell them that's going on, they get pissed off.
Yep.
Are you seeing that eliminated virtually?
Unless they're a professional speed tester, which we all have some of them, that call disappears. Because in the past, again, when you did that with MikroTik simple queues, their latency would go from 30 to maybe 300 or 500, 800 milliseconds, right? That causes lag in games. It causes web browsing to be slow. It causes DNS lookups to go at the back of the queue. So everything feels slow when you're shaping the wrong way where it causes, a buffer to increase and latency to shoot up. Preseam fixed all of that. It kind of allows the small flows like DNS lookups, voice over IP traffic, gaming. It allows that to the front of the queue ahead of the bulk flows like downloads and video streaming. So that solved it for us, at least at the time, and it still does today.
Great, okay, thanks. So, non-preseam questions. So I want to talk a little bit about business type stuff, specifically a little bit around marketing. So if you could each maybe just briefly, what's some marketing thing that you've done that you thought was going to be a huge success, was a total failure, and what's something that you did that, and not just necessarily marketing, but customer related, customer acquisition, something that failed that you thought was going to work, and something that worked that you thought was going to fail.
Radio and TV.
Okay.
It's not as good as it used to be. I'll just say
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So you spent a lot of money on radio and TV,
yeah,
and
we had to cancel TV contracts because advertising. Well, we were doing a lot of TV. We did some radio and a little bit of TV, and for the $3,000 or $4,000 a month you spend on it, it just people aren't watching TV. They just don't watch traditional TV like they used to. So from a marketing perspective, is it good for brand recognition? Is it good to reach some people that you might not reach? Sure. But it also reached a lot of people that we couldn't service. And that was a big problem. So we found a lot better success in Facebook and Google AdWords so that you were more targeting people and people were finding you when they were searching for internet or something like that.
cool.
We never did any TV or radio just for those reasons alone. We knew it probably wasn't going to work very well, and our coverage didn't, overlap their entire area, so we avoided it. One thing we've done from day one, though, is lawn signs at every install. That's worked extremely well for us. We get calls every day. I've seen your signs for the last 3 years. I'm finally ready to get your service. So the signs are a pesky reminder to them that we're still out there, we're still growing. They see their neighbor, their friend gets it, and they get a hold of us. We've done 4 newspaper ads total, and those are just to try to go after some of the older people maybe that can't see the yard signs, their eyesight might be a little lacking. So we did get like another maybe 100 customers from those 4 newspaper advertisements, but then it died off right away on number 4. So we pulled out of the newspaper right away after that. We were just going after a market that might not have known of us otherwise. We did a couple direct mailers that, I don't know, it kind of worked. Like we made ROI on it, like it made our money back, but it wasn't nearly as high as ROI boost as the yard signs or Facebook advertising. We did a little bit of that, but not a lot again. We've just been really busy, so we haven't needed to do a lot of marketing, fortunately. We're pretty small. We don't have a lot of technicians, so we stay pretty far booked out in our day-to-day without doing a ton of advertising.
How long do you leave the yard signs out?
We ask customers to leave it out 4 weeks. Most of them actually leave it out 3 or 4 months. And
They take them down, or do you pull up?
she asked how long the yard signs stay out. So they cost us $6. So there's no way it doesn't pay us to go retrieve them. We just say leave it out a month, 4 weeks, and you can do whatever you want with it after that. Target practice, it doesn't matter.
I am most surprised by homeowners' lack of ability to find service. For more than a decade, if you searched high-speed internet, whatever your town was, if we provided service, we were the top search result, and we would still have people who would sign up after they've lived in that house for 10 years. We've serviced that area for 10 years, and they will make comments like, "Oh, I'm so glad you guys built out to my area. I finally have good internet, and I can watch Netflix and all this stuff." And it's like, well, you just move here? No, we've lived here a long time. It's like, well, we have yard signs up and down this road and have had, for years. Your neighbors all around you have it. How do you tie your shoes? It's just the easiest. Google is the easiest thing. So if there's anybody in here from Google, I would like to talk to you about an endorsement deal too. It's just so easy. I don't get. So I'm shocked at those kind of tools out there that people can't sort of self-help and find a provider or two or three. And I've had, we do door hangers, and I've personally knocked on doors telling people, hey, we're new to your area, you can get high-speed internet at long last, you know, in this town with 50 people in it. And had people argue that they can't get internet. I'm like, you can, because I'm the guy that put the stuff over there on that water tower, and it works. You know, just come over here to my truck. I will prove to you can get high-speed internet. No way, man. Okay.
You can't fix it.
Yeah.
No.
That runs rampant everywhere.
It is.
It's like a gut punch.
But it is exceptionally surprising.
So I guess that means everyone still needs to hire marketing people.
Yeah.
It doesn't solve itself.
But they'll still ignore every marketing message you have until they want it.
Yeah,
At the
demand,
time.
right?
That's true, but
Yeah.
I think that also goes to the point that that's why you've got to touch a little bit of everything in marketing. I mean, that's why a little bit of radio, a little bit of TV, and a little bit of newspaper, especially like we have a newspaper in town that they're very, like the town is very focused on the newspaper. Like they want the newspaper to succeed. So doing a one-page ad in that paper is not a bad thing because, you know, that's
almost
what the town
community
sees.
building.
Exactly, it is.
Yeah.
So.